guys, this is our last video for math because it is our last assignment for math. When you're looking at this, you'll see right away is that it is on integers. I know that we already did integers once during the COVID time. The reason that we're reviewing it one final time before you go for summer vacation is because integers is the most important thing that you'll see in grade 7 math because it's the first time you see it is in grade 7. And so we just want to review it as many times as possible. So at the top, it's just our instruction is on what is an integer. So it's positive or a negative number. And I'm going to start right into it. So using a positive or a negative integer to represent each situation. Basically, it's asking you, is this a plus number or a negative number? If I lost $15, is that plus or minus? The next one is marking each integer on a number line. So you can see already where 0 is. And then you're going to mark them. You can just put the letter. So for instance, let's do D. So D is at -3, 1, 2, 3. It's on the negative side. And we can just put D there. So marking those 4 on the line. The next one is write the opposite of each integer. So what's the opposite of -5? I'll do this one for you. That's +5. But then also putting them on a number line. You'll notice that there is no 0, so you're going to have to set a 0. You're doing both positive and negative numbers, so probably put your 0 right in the middle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's +5. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's -5. Pretty straightforward. We're going to see if we can do this whole math assignment in one video as well. Okay, so it's saying that you can put them on a number line in order to see which is bigger and which is smaller. For this, you can use the number line if it helps. If you don't need the number line, that's fine too. So for instance, if I was looking at B and I said, what's bigger, +7 or +2? Don't let the pluses fool you. That's just a regular 7 and a regular 2. What's bigger, 7 or 2? However, sometimes we get confused when we're looking at something like F. And it says, what's bigger, +2 or -10? And we think, oh, 10's a bigger number. But when we look here on the number line, we see +2's here, -10's way down there, and we're looking for what's more this way when we're talking about what's bigger. In here it's saying order the integers in the set from greatest to least. Again, pretty straightforward. You can use the number line if you need to, but we know that the positive numbers are going to be bigger than the negative numbers. So let's see which one's bigger there. 4 is bigger than 2, and then any negative number is going to be on the smaller end of that. All right, next one, we're getting into addition and subtraction of integers. So it says use the number line to add +3 and -7. One of the things it tells you to do is like start at 0 and then find +3. So it says like find +3, so you move 3 units to the left. That puts you at +3. And then, 3 units to the right. And then it says how many units to the left. So you're doing -7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you're seeing where you are, which means that you're at -4. Now here, this start at 0, move 3 units to the right, that can be confusing because most of us will just start at +3. If it says +3 first, we just start there, and that's fine. You don't have to start at 0 and move 3 units to the right. Again, the number line is totally up to you. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Same exact thing for these questions here, using the number line, add them together. Here, it's just adding as well. Again, if you want the number line, you can. If I have -10 and I add +3 to it, it's going to become a little less negative than it was before. So I'm going to do this one for you. This would be at -7 because I'm adding +3. It's got some simple addition of integers here, but it gives you possible answers. You'll see that with the exact same numbers, 6 and 5, we have a variety of answers, which is kind of cool to see why it's important to make sure that the positive or negative symbol on your number is correct, because otherwise you could have so many different answers. It's already done one for you, so I'm not going to do an example because it's just the same thing that we've been doing. Add using a method of your choice. and then you can use a different method to check your book. So adding these together, you can use the number line. You can use whatever you want, but doing the addition, and again, you've done this a few times this year, so it should be pretty straightforward. I think that when you were with Miss Bior, you guys also did tiles. So you would look at negative tiles and positive tiles, and you would add them together, and a negative and a positive together balance themselves out. And so if you want to use that method, you can. If you can't remember that method, just shoot me a message and I'll do you a video on it and send it your way. So then we're getting to the word problems. Kim earned $24 babysitting, and he spent $7 buying lunch at school. So basically we've got to make a math question for this. He has 24. He spends, so we're going to add a negative 7. He spends $7 buying lunch at school. How much does he have? Now, normally we might have just written this like this, 24 minus 7. These questions are the exact same thing. So 24 plus negative 7 or 24 minus 7, you're going to come up with the exact same answer. It's just a different way of saying it. Now it says create a problem that can be solved using integer addition. Show the solution. Here are some possible ideas. Temperature change. You know, it was -2 outside and then it rose 10 degrees. What temperature is it? Elevation change. I was at, 20 feet above sea level and then I went down 50 feet. Whatever it is, put together a question and then answer it. At the bottom here, there is a game that you can play with cards. This is a great way to reinforce ideas of positive and negative integers. So if you're struggling with this, find somebody in your family to play the game. However, it is not mandatory for completion of the assignment. All right, getting into subtraction. Subtraction is the part that a lot of people have a hard time with. Now, the biggest thing to remember is just like we do the opposite with a negative number than we do as a positive number, we do the opposite with subtraction as we do with addition. So using the number line, we have the same sort of question. So it says move 3 units to the right. So we're getting ourselves to positive 3 first, and then we're going to subtract positive 5. So if we were adding positive 5, we'd go this way, but we're subtracting positive 5, so we're going this way. So it's 3 subtract 5. So we're going back, and it's asking you, where did you get to? So, so we end up at -2 here. Now again, you can continue to use the number line. Where this gets confusing is when we subtract a negative number. So just like I always say, if you're going to get a teacher to do an example, get them to do the hardest one. Let's do this one. So here we start at -1, and we're going to, oh, sorry, I'm drawing on the wrong one. Here we go. We start at -1, and we want to subtract -6. Now, this is one of those weird things that it doesn't necessarily make sense in our head, subtracting a negative number. So if we were subtracting a positive number, again, we'd be going this way. But we want to do the opposite because we're subtracting a negative number. So we're going to head this way. So there is a short rule for this that says subtracting a negative is like adding a positive. Now, in theory, our brains have a hard time wrapping our heads around that, but we see that it works. That if we're going to subtract a positive, we go this way. So if we're subtracting a negative, it must be the opposite way. It goes this way. So this could actually be rewritten as -1 plus +6. Now, this might make more sense in our brains. And so we're actually going to do a part in here right next that we rewrite each subtraction as an addition statement. The simple reason for that being is that a lot of our brains have a lot easier time with addition than we do with the subtraction of integers. So if we have -1 and we're going +6, as in we're adding a negative number of 6, it's going to take us all the way to +5. Now, when you're writing +5, you can just write 5. You don't have to put that positive number, But when we're first starting out and we really want to make sure that we're conveying the right message, saying either positive or negative is really important. So here it says rewrite each subtraction question as an addition statement. Now, if you're changing a subtraction question to an addition statement, you have to reverse the symbol. So if I was saying plus 4 minus plus 7, and I wanted to change this to addition, I change that to addition, which means I have to reverse the symbol here. So rewritten, this is plus 4 plus minus 7. Now, let's see, what would be a hard one? Let's do the bottom here. So it says rewrite each subtraction as the addition of the opposite integer and then solve. Same thing that we're doing in this section here, but these ones are a little bit harder. So it's done the first one for you. It was plus 2 minus negative 6, and then they changed it to plus 2 plus positive 6. So I'll do a different one for you. So this one is minus 12. The first number always stays the same. We're not altering that. And it says minus plus 9, but we're going to add instead. And because we changed this to an addition, then we have to change this as well. So it's a negative 9 now. So negative 12 plus negative 9. I have 12 negatives. I add 9 more negatives to them. How many negatives do I have? I have a whole bunch of negatives to the sum of 21 negatives. All right, last page. More of the subtraction. You can use whatever method you want. You can change it to an addition question if you want. You can use the number line if you want. But using the exact same thing. So let's find here. Let's do D. Minus 10. And we're subtracting a negative, which means that we're adding a positive of 2. So negative 10 plus positive 2 puts us right here at negative 8. We always want to put that brackets around it so it doesn't look like we're trying to do a subtraction question. Ava's golf score changed from 2 above par to 3 below. Good job, Ava. How did her score change? So she, it's saying how much did she decrease by. So it's the same sort of subtraction question that we've been doing. Murphy's golf score changed from 1 below par to 5 above par. How much it was here. It went to 5 above. And so we're going to see how many jumps we did to get to 5 above. And then you're going to be able to tell me how much his score changed by. All right, again, this is a great game. Great way to reinforce ideas, but it's not mandatory for completion. So do it if you have time, but that's the end of math for grade 7. So finish this up strong, submit it. Make sure that when you're doing your math assignment, your answer key isn't right handy. And do your own work. Make sure it's your own learning. And send it my way because that's the end of math.